In the ancient Arab world, the desert wind carried not only faith, but also desire. In Baghdad, in Damascus, and in the courtyards behind the mosques of sea, there was a history rarely spoken of: banquets, poetry, and beautiful boys. The most secret melodies of the colorful court, taboo and aesthetics intertwined here, weaving the most moving symphony. Once heard, it could never be forgotten. If the philosophers of ancient Greece praised boys with philosophy, then in the Arab world, the beauty of boys was forged into the most captivating lines of poetry. In the taverns of Baghdad's poets, wine flowed in golden cups, lutes and flutes played in harmony. But what truly lit up the night was not the torch, but the gaze of a boy. Poets wrote verses such as these: "His eyes are brighter than the morning star. His smile surpasses the roses of spring." In their hands, boys were not only the beauty of flesh, but also a symbol of youth, purity, and the most luminous essence of the human soul. The Persian poet Hafiz often placed boys and wine side by side in his poems. He said, "Wine is the fire, and the boy is the flame. When he raises the cup, the whole world burns." This was not mere carnal desire, but an intoxication of aesthetics. In the pavilions of gardens, the boy was like the wind of spring, brief, yet impossible to possess. Poets pursued boys, as if chasing a season that could never be eternal. Their beauty was often likened to nature. Eyebrows like the crescent moon, eyes like deep wells, lips redder than the first cherries. These images echoed again and again in poetry. A boy of 15 was the most perfect proportion of the universe. Every gesture of his surpassed all the decorations of palaces. What is more astonishing is this: even under the strict laws of Islam, poets still boldly praised boys. Through metaphors, they likened the boy's face to the sacred place of pilgrimage, his head to the black stone of Mecca. Thus, adoration and faith met within the same poem. In that age, reciting a poem of boys could mean challenging the authority of theologians. Yet poets remained unafraid, for they believed beauty was a truth beyond law. One wrote, "God created the world, but upon the boy, he left his most breathtaking stroke." At banquets, the boy carried the wine jug, his eyes filled with shyness, yet hiding a quiet defiance. In that instant, what intoxicated the poet was not the wine, but that unbearable radiance. They sang at the boy's steps, like the swallows of spring, light and swift, like the evening breeze at dusk, unraveling my heart. Even 1,000 years later, such verses still make us blush and tremble. For the poets, the boy was the purest inspiration. Their poems reveal the profound contradiction. In a world bound by harsh faith, people could not help but sing of desire and of youth, that fleeting beauty no one could control. If the boys in the poets' verses were but phantoms, then within the palace, they became the most dangerous players in the game of power. In the colorful courts of Baghdad, banquets never ceased night after night. Golden cups and silver goblets brimmed with strong wine. Under palace lamps encrusted with jewels, pages in gauzy robes walked lightly. Their duty was not only to pour wine, but also to seduce. A single careless smile from a boy could change the fate of a vizier. Beneath the caliph's scepter, beauty itself became a kind of politics. History records that Caliph Harun al-Rashid, at a grand banquet, was so enraptured by the singing and dancing of a beautiful boy that he forgot affairs of state. The ministers present dared not speak aloud, but trembled in secret that the beauty of a boy could shake the very heart of an empire. Yet such favor was destined to be perilous, for in the Arab world, religion and desire were always in conflict. By day, the minarets of the mosques called to prayer, reminding men to shun aside. But at night, deep within the palaces, wine and poetry, dance and boys became the most irresistible intoxication. This was the deepest contradiction of the civilization. Faith cried for prohibition, yet desire burned in the darkness. Many scholars openly condemned this custom. They declared to love boys was to defy God, and yet, often in their own hearts, they too were shaken, for no one could deny that the beauty of boys was like a mirage beneath the blazing sun, utterly impossible to resist. One poet left this defense in his verse: "If God should question me, he will answer, He created boys. Does he command me not to see them? These words spoke the truth of the age. Desire was not a man-made sin, but a trial left by God's own hand. Within the courts, boys were chosen with great care. They were required not only to possess beauty, but also to master music, dance, and poetry. For in the eyes of nobles, a truly perfect boy was not merely a plaything, but an artwork at the banquet. They learned to stir pity with song, and to stir hearts with the rhythm of their steps. Yet behind such glory lurked the shadow of ruin. Once favor was lost, a boy could be cast out, or even secretly killed. Thus every smile might be his last, every embrace the prelude to death. One historian wrote, the Caliph's palace was the most splendid of prisons for boys. Indeed, there they enjoyed silk, wine, and applause. But at the same time, they lost freedom, dignity, and the hope of a future. This paradox gave Arab civilization its strange tension. On one hand, boys were regarded as the muses of poetry and art, the treasures of culture. On the other, they were torn apart by lust and power until they became sacrifices. And it was precisely because of this danger that the poets' praise was so achingly beautiful, for they knew this beauty could only bloom for a fleeting moment. When the banquet has ended, when the laughter of the boys sinks into the depths of time, what remains are only poems and legends. The Arab Golden Age left behind countless verses praising the beauty of boys. In those lines, we can hear the trembling of beauty, and we can feel the shadow of taboo. One poet wrote, His eyes outshine the black pearls of night. His lips are like the first bloom of the pomegranate flower. His figure like a white poplar beneath the moon. Such verses are not only expressions of desire, but also laments for fleeting beauty. For the poets knew, a boy is like the dawn, brief, radiant, and gone in an instant. Many collections of such poetry were kept hidden in secret, for in public, verses of love for boys were deemed forbidden and condemned by the guardians of religion. Yet, paradoxically, it was precisely these so-called sinful poems that built the most moving facet of Arab culture. Without them, we cannot truly understand the soul of that age. The beauty of boys became an eternal symbol. It reminds us, wealth and power must fade away, but youth and beauty, though brief, are the truths that strike the human heart most deeply. And so, even after 1,000 years, when we open those manuscripts, we are still pierced. We can still feel the poet's burning heartbeat. Yet in reality, no boy ever escaped the chains of fate. Their names scattered into dust. Only art preserved their shadows. The statues stand broken. The manuscripts are weathered, yet both whisper to us. Such boys once existed. They laughed, they sang, and they were sacrificed in silence. Aesthetics and taboo became entangled as one. In the Arab world, the boy was both inspiration and sin, both the summit of culture and the forbidden ground of morality. This tension was the very undertone that made the Golden Age so hauntingly beautiful. One poet once declared, without the beauty of boys, my poetry would lose its soul. This was not exaggeration, but a true confession of dependence. In the hearts of poets, boys were not mere mortals, but earthly stars, the most mysterious sparks of inspiration. Even today, we can still hear in their verses the heartbeat of ancient Baghdad and Damascus. The boys themselves long turned to dust, yet through poetry and art, their presence continues to shine. They prove a cruel yet beautiful truth, that beauty is the most fragile and also the most powerful force. Thus, when we speak of the Arab Golden Age, we must not only recall its brilliance in science, mathematics, and philosophy, but also remember those boys sung by poets, for it was their existence that gave an entire civilization its most tender and moving face. In the next episode, we shall step into another land of civilization, where the aesthetics of boys, bound by even stricter religion and morality, took on another form. Episode for the dark night and light of Europe, boys and faith in the Middle Ages.